Hold it, fella. I noticed you hanging around. In case you're too shy to ask me, here's my autograph anyway. Don't bother thanking me. I'm just all heart. Quote, Johnny Storm, The Human Torch. Amazing Spider-Man, Volume 1, Issue 17, The Return of the Green Goblin. Having not crossed paths with the Green Goblin for months, Peter Parker wonders about the whereabouts of his formidable foe. In the midst of this contemplation, Flash Thompson, one of Peter's classmates, announces that he has some significant news to share after their class. In another part of the city, simultaneously, Peter Parker sitting in his science classroom, the very person he contemplates, the Green Goblin, is also thinking of him, or more accurately, of Spider-Man. The Green Goblin strategizes, saying, the next time I battle Spider-Man, I'll have new weapons to defeat him with. I'm not just practicing with dummy targets. I can't wait until I get a chance to use my little bag of tricks on the real Spider-Man. The Green Goblin confidently declares, with all the practice I've done, I should be able to vanquish him just as easily. I've beaten his lifeless replica, and I've even redesigned my jet para-goblin glider, making it faster and more maneuverable. The Green Goblin is expressing his certainty and preparation for a successful confrontation with Spider-Man, emphasizing his enhanced skills and upgraded equipment. The Green Goblin asserts, oh yes, next time we meet Spider-Man, we'll find the mysterious Green Goblin more than a match for your puny powers. I've waited all these months to give myself enough time to prepare for our next encounter, and at last, the Goblin is ready. Now, all that remains for me to do is to find Spider-Man. The Green Goblin expresses confidence in the upgraded abilities and tricks he has acquired during his training, eagerly anticipating the impending confrontation with Spider-Man. Flash Thompson announces to his classmates that he's forming the Spider-Man fan club, and everyone except Peter Parker is invited. As Peter is walking home, he notices three mysterious figures getting into a helicopter, making some sort of getaway. As Spider-Man leaps up into the helicopter, the film director is furious with him, ruining the shot of the movie, and Spider-Man is ridiculed by the Daily Bugle and others for his mistake. While walking Betty Brant home, Liz Allen sees Peter and shows him an ad in the newspaper about Spider-Man fan club, and it promises an appearance by Spider-Man himself. Flash figures that if he says it's so, Spider-Man won't disappoint his fans, and Peter realizes he ought to show, but doesn't know how. As the discussion continues, his spider sense goes off from a mysterious figure in a purple hat whom he doesn't recognize. Spider-Man loses track of the plainclothes Green Goblin, only to be immediately confronted by the police shouting, "Stop thief!" A gunshot rings out around the corner, prompting a curious plainclothes Peter Parker to investigate the commotion. Peter spots a man with a gun and contemplates the need to change back into Spider-Man. However, before he can decide, a flaming fireball streaks down from above, melting the startled fugitive's gun. It turns out to be the Human Torch, who arrived just in time. He informs the police that's a good thing he was passing by, beating Spider-Man to the punch and resolving the situation. The police expresses gratitude to the Human Torch, and bystanders congratulate him. Peter Parker witnesses the accolades, feels a pang of jealousy, realizing that when Spider-Man performs similar heroic deeds, he doesn't receive the same level of recognition or appreciation. The stark contrast in response to the superheroes further complicates Peter's feelings about his dual identity. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, addresses Peter saying, "Hold it, fella. I noticed you hanging around. In case you're too shy to ask for it, here's my autograph anyway. Don't bother thanking me. I'm all just heart." Peter responds sarcastically, "What am I supposed to do? Sleep with it under my pillow?" The exchange highlights contrasting reactions Peter receives compared to other superheroes, emphasizing the challenge he faces as Spider-Man. The next day, in J. Jonah Jameson's office, he expresses displeasure with the ad placed inside the Daily Bugle for Spider-Man's fan club. When Betty inquires about the reason, Jameson remarks, "If the club succeeds, the web-spinning clown could become as popular as the Beatles. Tell Parker to be at the meeting with a camera. We'll join him there. I'll find some way to put a damper on that club." Betty Brant hesitates to inform Peter Parker about the meeting because she knows Liz Allen will be there, and Betty has feelings for Peter Parker. Meanwhile, at Peter Parker's home, he is facing his own set of problems. Aunt May is arranging a blind date for Peter with Mary Jane Watson. However, Peter has reservations about going on the date, firstly because he already has a girlfriend, and secondly because he's not a fan of blind dates. Aunt May insists that Mary Jane's a sweet girl, but Peter is left contemplating how to get out of the situation. He decides to tell Aunt May that he's attending the Spider-Man fan club meeting. Aunt May responds by mentioning that Mary Jane is a fan of Spider-Man. Aunt May, after receiving a telephone call, then informs Peter that Mary Jane has caught a bad cold and won't be able to go out tonight. The unexpected turn of events provides Peter with an unintended escape from the blind date. Later in the grand ballroom of the Avenue Diner Club, Liz Allen's dad gives permission for Flash Thompson to host the Spider-Man fan club meeting at his club. Liz's dad sees this as a fantastic idea for publicity. Intrigued, he wonders if Spider-Man will make an appearance at the event. Half of Forest Hill gathers at the club, eagerly anticipating Spider-Man's appearance. Flash Thompson hopes Spider-Man has noticed the buzz in the air, while Liz Allen looks forward to seeing Peter Parker after all the challenges she went through to arrange the event. Nearby on the rooftop, Spider-Man contemplates as his big chance to make a positive impression and gain trust from the public. However, little does Spider-Man know about a mysterious figure across town who is silently speeding towards the same destination, the Green Goblin, anticipating surprising Spider-Man among his many fans. As the Green Goblin rushes to confront Spider-Man, a battle between the two looms on the horizon. As the crowd grows impatient for the eagerly anticipated appearance of the teenage adventurer, other familiar faces are discovered among those assembled. The Human Torch is present with his girlfriend, assuring her that he won't steal the spotlight. J. Jonah Jameson is also at attendance, seemingly unaware of Peter Parker and expressing concern that someone might spoil Spider-Man's negative image. Betty Brant is relieved that Peter is not present, but is disapproving of Liz Allen, who is keeping a close eye for Peter Parker to attend the party. Meanwhile, Flash Thompson remains confident that Spider-Man will make a grand entrance, adding to the suspense and anticipation in the crowd. Suddenly, unexpectedly, dramatically, the spider signal illuminates the scene, prompting an exuberant response from the crowd as they collectively yell that Spider-Man has arrived. With the single shining brightly, Spider-Man swings into view, offering a greeting to the web spinners gathered, proclaiming, "Here's your old friendly neighborhood Spider-Man." As Spider-Man swings into action, his web line is unexpectedly snapped by electronic frog. The Green Goblin, seizing the opportunity, hurls one of his gadgets towards Spider-Man's web. Upon impact, the web visibly disintegrates, snapping it in half. The crowd watches in shock as Spider-Man begins to plummet, his fall imminent. The unexpected turn of events adds a tense and dramatic twist to the unfolding scene. Losing his web is not a problem for Spider-Man as he gracefully lands on his feet with a safe landing, leaving the impressed crowd in awe. Flash Thompson, confident in Spider-Man's reliability, knew he would show up and appreciates him as a great guy. Meanwhile, Liz Allen, who has feelings for Peter Parker, wonders why he hasn't arrived yet. Observing the situation, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, senses trouble ahead. He notices someone attempting to target Spider-Man. At that very moment, the unexpected appearance is none other than the Green Goblin, who once again steals the spotlight, giving the crowd an electrifying show. Spider-Man, now apprehensive about the crowd's reaction, approached by the Green Goblin, who ominously declares, "I've got a whole bag full of new surprises for you, my friend." The Green Goblin smirks and says, "And here's the first. See how the Goblin sparks start sparkling as soon as I press the button on my belt? See how pretty they look glistening in the fire? Would you like a closer look at them? I'm glad to oblige." With that, sparkles shoot out of the Green Goblin's fingers, creating a dazzling display. However, Spider-Man, recognizing the potential danger, simply wants to swing away from the unfolding chaos. Spider-Man skillfully dodges the electrical sparks, making it appear as if all or part of his acrobatic prowess, not wanting to frighten the crowd. However, he realizes he can't keep up the act forever and needs to devise a plan to defeat the Green Goblin without putting the audience at risk. J. Jonah Jameson, witnessing Spider-Man's positive reception from the fans, is not pleased, further fueling his dislike for the wall crawler. Meanwhile, Betty Brant gains more confidence in the relationship between Peter Parker and herself, since he has not shown up to see Liz Allen, nothing the absence of potential romantic complication. The Green Goblin commends Spider-Man, acknowledging his performance so far. However, he honestly hints at having many more surprises, unveiling an electrical activity mechanical bat that begins circling Spider-Man, emitting thick black smoke. As Spider-Man's senses go off, detecting imminent danger, the Green Goblin adds another layer to the threat by hurling a pumpkin at the wall crawler. The danger intensifies and Spider-Man faces a multifaceted challenge from the Green Goblin's array of surprises. Amidst the chaos, Spider-Man quickly recognizes the thrown pumpkin as a bomb, an explosive device. Swiftly dodging out of harm's way, he evades imminent danger. Meanwhile, Flash Thompson, caught up in the excitement, believes all is part of an act. However, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, has a hunch that it's not at all. Spider-Man, fueled by determination to conclude the battle, swiftly prepares to apprehend the Green Goblin and put an end to the escalating threat. The Green Goblin senses descends into the air with the glider, revealing its impressive speed that matches Spider-Man's own agility. The aerial pursuit between Spider-Man and the Green Goblin intensifies as both adversaries navigate the skies in a high-stakes confrontation. As Liz Allen notices the consistent absence of Spider-Man, whenever Spider-Man makes an appearance, she becomes increasingly suspicious, wondering why they have never seen in the same place at the same time. Sensing the need to address the growing suspicion, Spider-Man contemplates a plan to strategically place both Peter Parker and Spider-Man in the same location, perhaps risking his secret identity for the sake of maintaining trust. Spider-Man strategizes, thinking to himself, well, the first thing I've got to do is put the Goblin out of action. I'll let him think he's got me on the run. As the Goblin throws his sparkly explosives, which snap Spider-Man's web, it becomes clear this is all part of Spider-Man's plan. He aims to draw Goblin closer, setting the stage for a strategic move in their ongoing confrontation. With the Green Goblin unaware of Spider-Man's spider senses, he continues to skillfully dodge any explosives or pumpkins thrown his way. Spider-Man quips, "That's why they all say until I lower the boom," signaling that he has strategically positioned the Green Goblin for a decisive move. As the confrontation reaches a critical moment, Spider-Man prepares to gain the upper hand and defeat his elusive adversary. At that very moment, Johnny Storm's sharp eyes detect a danger. A trio of gun-wielding henchmen positioned on the balcony above. Johnny's girlfriend, Dora, reminds him of his promise not to get involved, but Johnny recognizes the seriousness of the situation. The crooks are targeting the cashier's safe and may even take a shot at Spider-Man. In a dramatic turn of events, a fiery figure streaks across the sky, none other than the Human Torch. With a resounding cry, the Torch declares, "Flame on!" as he prepares to intervene and thwart the criminal activity. As the Human Torch streaks towards the three gunmen, he inadvertently blazes through Spider-Man's web, unintentionally spoiling the hero's plan to trap the Green Goblin. The Torch's intervention disrupts the capture of the Green Goblin and redirects the focus to stopping the criminals instead. Flash Thompson expresses dissatisfaction at the sight of the Human Torch, while some bystanders, unaware of the real danger, perceive the situation as part of an entertaining show involving multiple superheroes. The unexpected turn of events adds complexity to the unfolding scene. The criminals scatter as the Human Torch throws the fireballs at them, not full realizing why the Torch entered the scene. However, the Green Goblin quickly shifts the attention towards the fury new incomer. With a sinister intent, the Green Goblin declares, "The Human Torch. Well, I'll teach you not to interfere with your betters." The Human Torch, unaware of Spider-Man's whereabouts, find themselves targeted by a vengeful Green Goblin. To address the unspoken question of the Human Torch about Spider-Man's whereabouts, a youth races breathlessly towards the audience. It becomes evident that Peter Parker is determined to make an appearance at the party, signifying that he is present while Spider-Man confronts the Green Goblin. Flash Thompson expresses his discontent with the way the situation is unfolding. On the other hand, Liz Allen spots Peter and is elated, happily running her hands through his hair. J. Jonah Jameson is displeased seeing Peter without a camera. Betty Brand feels heartbroken witnessing the dynamics between Liz Allen and Peter Parker. High above the chaotic scene, the Green Goblin continues his malevolent plans, determined to eliminate the Human Torch swiftly. He unveils a little goblin surprise, an airborne white cloud ghost. As the cloud envelopes the Human Torch, it forms a tight seal, cutting off air supply. This ghostly maneuver not only extinguishes the Human Torch's flames, but also possesses a threat to his ability to breathe. The Human Torch, aware of the potential danger to innocent bystanders, feels restrained from releasing its full nova intensity in response. Down below, Peter can't postpone any longer and re-engages in the battle with the Green Goblin. However, Betty Brand is heartbroken witnessing Peter and Liz Allen together. Tears run through her eyes. Meanwhile, the Human Torch, amidst the struggle with the Goblin's white cloud, gets an idea. Instead of using his near supernova heat, he tries to focus the heat on just his hand. Miraculously, it works, and the concentrated heat begins to draw away the thick mist. Breaking free from one trap, the Human Torch unwillingly falls into the exhaust of the Green Goblin's glider. Potent exhaust from the back line proves to be highly effective preventive measure against pursuit. Seizing the opportunity, the Green Goblin doubles back, deploying some potent stun bombs. The Human Torch, impacted by the stun bombs, descends and falls to the ground. As the eerie specter of the Green Goblin's chilling strategy takes root, the crowd senses that this is no longer a mere act. Despite the ominous atmosphere, excitement builds as Spidey re-enters the scene. He quickly uses his webbing to attach to the back of the glider, just as the Goblin retaliates by shooting him up with a sparkly little bombs. The unfolding events intensifies, bleeding suspense with the thrill of Spider-Man's return to the battle. Seizing the moment, Spidey swings from the back and maneuvers underneath the Goblin's glider. In a surprising twist, he finds himself face to face with Green Goblin, who suddenly drops his glider. As the Green Goblin drops the glider, he seizes the opportunity to deliver a powerful uppercut to Spider-Man. Stuck by the unexpected blow, Spider-Man plummets from the height to the ground below. Meanwhile, someone is overheard speaking on the phone, actively searching for Peter Parker. Upon hearing that his Aunt May has suffered a heart attack and is in the hospital, Peter Parker is consumed by concern for her well-being. In this moment of personal crisis, he is no longer preoccupied with the Green Goblin or the surrounding crowd. His sole focus is on rushing to be with his ailing aunt. Despite his sense of urgency, the crowd perceives Spider-Man's sudden departure as an act of cowardice, labeling him as having turned yellow. As the crowd turns even more against Spider-Man, perceiving that the Green Goblin was too much for him, they begin to question his heroics. Disappointed in Spider-Man, they label him as a crummy hero. Meanwhile, the Human Torch is unaware of the reason behind Spider-Man's sudden departure from the battle. On the contrary, J. Jonah Jameson is elated seeing the opportunity for a sensational headline. He gleefully declares, "This is better than I dared hope for. I can see tomorrow's headline. Spider-Man turns chicken." The Green Goblin, contemplating his situation, decides he has no reason to engage in a prolonged fight with the Human Torch. His plan to hold off the torch long enough to make his escape. However, the Human Torch, feeling a sense of duty to stop the Green Goblin, is determined to prevent his escape. As the Goblin hurls a pumpkin, the Human Torch intercepts it with a fireball. The collision causes the fireball to break into sparkling fragments. The Green Goblin reveals in his perceived success, having managed to escape from before the Human Torch's vision could return. He considers the battle a complete triumph, plotting to leave Spider-Man with no avenue of retreat in their next encounter. Meanwhile, Spider-Man, his alter ego as Peter Parker, is consumed by the urgency of reaching his ailing Aunt May in the hospital. Unfazed by the events with the Green Goblin, he runs with the singular purpose of getting to the hospital as quickly as possible, fervently praying that he is not too late to be with his aunt in her time of need. As the crowd thins out the Avenue Diner Club, Dory expresses pride in Johnny instead of anger. She acknowledges that people need the Human Torch. Playfully, she suggests that underneath his seemingly aloof exterior, he truly likes Spider-Man. Johnny admits, "Yes, I do, Dory," or "Anyway, I did." Meanwhile, J. Jonah Jameson rushes out to obtain and publish the Daily Bugle about Spider-Man being labeled a coward. Betty Brant, feeling betrayed and hurt, contemplates revealing her feelings to the world, thinking, "What a fool I am for thinking Peter Parker ever cared about me. I'll never trust him again." The entire crowd has turned against Spider-Man, with only Flash Thompson remaining loyal and standing as the sole fan of the web slinger. Meanwhile, Liz Allen's left wondering about Peter Parker's whereabouts, nothing that he seems to have vanished like a ghost. The sudden disappearance of Peter Parker adds an element of mystery to the aftermath of the events, leaving both the crowd and the individuals close to Peter questioning his actions and whereabouts. Flash Thompson vehemently defends Spider-Man, proclaiming him to be the greatest guy in the world despite the crowd's turn against the web slinger. He remains steadfast in his loyalty, confident that others will eventually see Spider-Man in the same light. Meanwhile, Peter Parker, urgently trying to reach the hospital where Aunt May is, throws caution to the wind. He uses his web to swing to the ground, not caring about being in costume or who sees him. Determined to reach Aunt May, he breathlessly approaches the hospital, fortunate that the street is deserted at that moment. The urgency of the situation drives Peter to take bold actions, disregarding his usual concerns. In the hospital, Peter is confronted with the severity of his aunt's condition. Aunt May is revealed to be a very sick woman, but her will to live appears strengthened with Peter's presence. Peter expresses deep love and regret, realizing that Aunt May has always been the best for him, yet he feels he never spent enough time with her or did enough for her. As the doctor emerges and announces that the crisis is over, Peter's overcome with relief. Gratefully that Aunt May has made it through surgery, he anxiously anticipates seeing her and wishes her well. The family bond and Peter's concerns for Aunt May are central in this moment of vulnerability and gratitude. As Peter leaves the hospital, when visiting hours have concluded, he comes across a copy of the Daily Bugle with the headline declaring, "Spider-Man a coward." The news has turned Spider-Man into public enemy number one practically overnight. Reflecting on the situation, Spider-Man acknowledges that Betty is hurt, believing he went to the club with Liz instead of her. The public perception of him as a coward has likely cost him any fans he might have had. Adding to the concern, Spider-Man is troubled by the realization that the Green Goblin is free again and could strike at any time. Peter Parker reflects on the challenge he faces, grappling with the fact that the person who has been exceptionally kind to him, Aunt May, is now in the hospital, and he feels helpless to assist her. He contemplates the impact of becoming Spider-Man, expressing a wish that he had never heard that name. Peter questioning why things never seem to turn out right for him and why he unintentionally hurts people around him despite his efforts not to. He ponders whether this is an inevitable price he must pay for being Spider-Man. The narrative underscores the internal struggle Peter faces as Spider-Man, torn between his desire to help and protect others and the unintended consequences that come with his superhero identity. Despite the challenge and personal sacrifices, Spider-Man remains a misunderstood and often conflicted superhero. The story leaves us with a poignant portrayal of the complexities inherent in the life of the wall crawler. Notes: at some point on pages 17-18, Peter Parker goes to the Spider-Man fan club wearing the boots of his Spider-Man uniform, even though he is otherwise in his regular identity and clothes. He apparently forgot to wear his regular shoes as a result of having changed his identity too quickly. However, this is not addressed in the story. Betty, Liz, and Flash do not seem to notice what kind of footwear he is wearing while they interact with him, and nobody else in the large crowd realizes this either. This is later mentioned on a letter from Amazing Spider-Man issue 23. Peter Parker wonders what happened to the Green Goblin after the first encounter. He's referring to the events of Amazing Spider-Man number 14. The true identity of the Green Goblin, kept a secret here, is revealed in Amazing Spider-Man 39. Mary Jane swears off a date with Peter Parker in this story. Although she claims she is sick, Untold Tales of Spider-Man 16 reveals it's because she knows Peter is secretly Spider-Man and is unsure if she wants to get involved with him. They do end up meeting in Amazing Spider-Man issue 42. Johnny Storm shows up at the Spider-Man fan club meeting with his then-girlfriend Doris Evans. The pair began dating in Strange Tales 113. Eventually, she gets fed up with his superheroic antics and breaks up with him in Fantastic Four issue 45. Charlie Murphy is first identified here by his first name. His full name is revealed in Untold Tales of Spider-Man number 3. Seymour O'Reilly's first name is stated here. His last name was revealed in Marvel Knights Spider-Man number 7. Liz Allen's father is misnamed here. His real name is Wilson Allen, as revealed in Untold Tales of Spider-Man number 10. Liz Allen's father is mistakenly called Mr. Brand in this story. Next issue, Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, Issue 18, The End of Spider-Man.